We'll take a few moments to be present with the space. We're going to do some deep breathing before we get started. So I'm going to invite you to take a nice deep breath and hold it for 5 seconds, and then exhale. And as you release that breath, I just want you to get as comfortable as possible. This is a time where we're going to be entering into a new and higher dimension of your crown chakra. There is a sense of urgency to come forth to do an activation, and I'm being present in the space now to receive the wisdom and the insight for this activation. Something that was coming up was that your crown chakra during this time is calling you upward to a more accelerated ascension process. And this ascension process is different than what the traditional ascension context is that you most learn about as it relates to spiritual awakenings. This is a different strand of way of beingness with being called upward. There's new wisdom and insight that the crown chakra wants to reveal in terms of your signature calling in life and mission during this time. Pertains to your unique divine essence and expression that's really to be facilitated in higher manifestations, more tangible manifestations during this season of your life. And it's going to not just impact you, but impact those whom you're here to make an impact on. It's going to impact them tremendously. It's going to help you to better understand why certain key aspects or elements of your journey have not come into fruition. The newer dimensions of the chakra work for this new anatomy that is taking place and shifting within the new human experience is that you start to receive just this unimaginable context of your well-being. And so during this time, the crown chakra is ready to evolutionize your experience, bring you into fuller optimization of all of that which you have lived, in order to have you surrender in just a moment into a newer trajectory of a new life experience. That everything that you've lived up to this point has been very foundational, more of a springboard, but now there's a new foundation that life wants to build upon. And it's going to take the higher level of wisdom and insight from your crown chakra to be revealed in order for you to know how to be the best architect of your experience. So let's take a deep breath, please. During this time, you may feel your energy shifting in very rapid yet calming fluctuations. Higher levels of wisdom are going to be coming through you, and you'll feel even different frequencies that are helping to activate this wisdom at a higher level. And some of you will also experience that as you gain certain level of insight and wisdom. Soon after, there will be the expanded awareness around that context. Insight after insight, wisdom after wisdom, aha after aha, epiphany after epiphany, because this is about the acceleration of ascending upward in whatever life is calling you to during this time. So really your crown chakra is calling you, and it's time to answer that calling, to tune in to what you most need to know during this time. Take a deep breath, please. So I'm continuing to be present in the space for the wisdom, for the activation. Allow yourself to be really relaxed during this time. But I do have a sense that the adventure or journey that we are embarking on during this time will have you sometimes clenching your chair, or pressing yourself if you're laying down to the ground more because of the acceleration. No need to be alarmed. There's nothing to worry about. It's pure positive energy flowing through you. And your crown chakra just opening up into a new dimension in order to set you up for really an experience that's going to catapult you in a very accelerated way really soon. You'll be already feeling the context around that, the very essence of it during this experience. But the tangibility of it, when it plays out in the fuller manifestations in the upcoming days, weeks, and months. Just take a deep breath, please. And let's just be present. So at this time, I want you to tune in to this dimension of your crown chakra. And it is actually calling forth to be identified as the gate of promise. The gate of promise. So there's new promises that are on the horizon, if you will. And what it is the expanded awareness around the desires that you've had from a soul level. The soul has leveled itself up and is ready to accelerate you before you try to enter into a trajectory that you believe you have been prepared for, and certainly you have, but it's not the end all and be all that you may think. And this experience here desires to catapult you past that in an evolutionary leap type of format, so that you don't level off in that trajectory, the trajectory that's so great. And yes, you have prepared for it, but the process has sort of tricked you in a sense, not really, but it could seem like that, to prepare a certain way only to shift you into a much more expansive trajectory. But you have needed every single process, an aspect, an element of the journey so far in order to be able to make this significant shift. So in this gate of promise, or this new gate of promise, so focus in on the color violet, But then you could possibly see that open up into different dimensions of purple, but also white. And at any time during this process, if the colors become translucent and almost invisible, then you will know that you have really entered into a new level of the Ascension portal. And this Ascension portal is outside of any context of paradigms that have presented wisdom around what the Ascension process is, or even what the crown chakra represents. This is a new space unique to you, and will speak primarily about your promise. So let's breathe deeply as we enter into this gate, new dimension. So the wisdom that's coming through is for you to make a statement that I am the promise. I and Source are one. I am the promise. And breathe deeply into that. This is your season to be crowned with this promise. This promise that is beyond your comprehension. Something that you would just marvel at, as well as others. Take a deep breath, please. And let's be present within the space of this new promise, the gateway to this higher level of wisdom and insight that is required for the journey ahead to accelerate your upward calling. So let's tune into the crown chakra calling. What are you hearing? What are you sensing? What is your crown chakra speaking during this time? Take a deep breath. So what does it feel like to be called by your crown chakra? And if you didn't receive any wisdom or insights from that, be present more in the space. You'll get a sense of something. It could be something very subtle, it could be one word, just a feeling. And at a later point within this process, or even after, more wisdom may open up to you in terms of the expanded awareness. But I do know that this process is one that the expanded awareness will be taking place very rapidly during this time. Get one aha and another one is right on the heels of it. So this is not a time to overthink. It's just a time to be and allow the streams of wisdom and insight to flow to you from this dimension of new promise that your crown chakra is wanting to reveal during this time. Take a deep breath, please. So this calling of your crown chakra in this dimension, you are crowned with new promise. I'm going to invite you to suspend all that you have known up until this point around your greater purpose for being here, what that has meant to you, what you believe that it means moving forward. And let's just be present in this new gate, this new trajectory, because there's a new promise that's speaking to you. I guarantee you that it's going to contain those elements of the promise that you thought was the bigger context that you've been preparing for. Those elements will be there, but there's something much more expansive, something that is requiring this higher level of wisdom and insight to come forth during this time to significantly catapult you into this newer trajectory. So let's shrink for a moment. All that you have been waiting on to manifest and come forth. Let's take it through what I call the looking glass process. Those of you who are familiar with Alice Through the Looking Glass or Alice in Wonderland, when she would eat or drink something and it would either make her small or bigger. And so during this time, we are going to take a deep breath and allow the bigger context of what you believe to be your overall arching purpose for this phase and what you were believing to be more futuristic as well. So let's breathe into kind of minimatizing that for a moment. And being in the space of what is appearing to be luminant and large during this time. And also reducing any energy around the traditional crown chakra focus. Minimatizing that so that this dimension can become more multidimensional and more illuminate to you during this time. You can collectively bring together the wisdom and the insight from your purpose being minimatized, and then also the knowledge that you've had, if any, around the crown chakra's primary function. So let's just be in the space of this higher divine wisdom and energy. Some of you will certainly undergo a vibrational shift, rapidness of the wisdom picking up. You're feeling more congruent and aligned with your higher source connection, your true soul and spiritual advantage comes forth during this time. So listening in more intently to the crown chakra calling. What are you being called to in this upward accelerated ascension? Take a deep breath. What are you awakening even more to during this time? What is Source communicating to you? Who are you here to be, operating from this newer level of a greater promise, a new promise? And what's coming up is that this promise is actually not new. It's just more newer to your awareness because you've been so focused on the promise that you believe was coming into fruition, or some of the elements maybe that already have. You're expecting that things will still play out a certain way, and there's sort of a plot shift here in terms of the expansion. the merger of your desires with a higher evolution of greatness, far beyond what you've ever dreamed up until this point. This is giving you new insight and new wisdom. New levels of authority are required for you to walk in your crown chakra. It's calling you upward into this newer embodiment of your higher way and state of being, to be the chief authority of your experience, being governed and led by Source in mind-blowing ways. Imagine Source being able to do things in and through you that you not only felt you haven't prepared for, but you did not know that this level of gifting and divine expression and sovereignty exists. Take a deep breath, please. So I'm going to continue to be present, continue to be in the receptive mode of what you most need to know in terms of prompting and triggering this higher wisdom in this dimension, this gate of new promise. So what is the new promise for you? Ask that question to yourself. Ask that question to your crown chakra. What is this all about right now? Now, another dimension is desiring to take center stage, and that is entering into the gate of new peace. This is the peace that surpasses all of your understanding and guards your heart and your mind in the higher truth, the way, the truth, and the life. This peace is required for ascending upward so that you can be secure that there's absolutely nothing to be worried about. This is beyond the safest and sacred space that you can come into alignment with for this phase. As you're continuing to be called upward into the wisdom of your crown chakra in this dimension, there's an acceleration, ascension, and coding within this dimension and level of the crown chakra. So I'm going to invite you to be present and tune in to what that wisdom could be, and prompt and trigger yourself with your own empowering questions of what you feel that you should ask in terms of the greater context of this experience during this time for you, and what you most need to know, embrace, and embody. So I just want to ask, are you feeling the acceleration? Some of you will feel extremely relaxed and know something's occurring, while others of you will be feeling the rapid pace of thoughts, yet not overwhelming, but excited to assimilate this wisdom and insight soon, be able to make more context out of it, while others of you are getting that direct clarity, insights building upon insights, and those ahas coming right at the heel of another. And there is no wrong way that this is taking place, because it will take place for people at different levels. but I'm just being guided to share and make a few distinctions just to offer up a few examples of context of what could be taking place in terms of what you would be experiencing during this time. So as you're being called upward, what has become more illuminate and large now that you have minimatized those other areas? What is getting your attention now? What's calling you now? What is your crown chakra in this dimension speaking? What are you resonating with? What is making you feel more whole and alive during this time? More whole and alive. That's what we need for this accelerated upward calling, the Ascension process. Take about 5 deep breaths, please. Now we call forth for the activation of all that has ensued during this time. I'm going to sit with the crown chakra for just a few more moments. And being present with if there's any other insights or wisdom that needs to come forth before the activation is fully underway. We ground and we anchor this. So the third eye energy is actually coming up during this time as well, because there will be more clarity. Grander visioning is what's coming through. And in the dimension of that third eye, which again won't be necessarily pertaining to the traditional formats of what you learn about or context that you learn about as relates to the third eye. This is almost if you have more than one pineal gland at work. Different levels of the anatomy that are coming forth in awareness so that you can ascend and accelerate. This is how you're able to do far beyond what you could have wrapped your mind around. Because if you have different levels and dimensions of your energy body's anatomy working with and for you in this way, this is how you're able to achieve the impossible and the unimaginable. So the brow and the crown are sort of merging at this point in intention for you to experience the maximum benefit of wisdom and clarity and insight so that you can be able to bring forth worlds and trajectories through you from this level of insight and wisdom. It's interesting how wisdom is kind of trying to jumble in with insight because the oneness of things are taking place. And that's why, as I'm trying to say, insight or wisdom or insight, there's stumbling because it's the crossing of them both is being one. Wisdom and insight are one and the same in this dimension. And the brow and the crown are harmonized. Take a deep breath, please. So with this knowledge and this calling, what do you see or sense? Take a deep breath. Speak present with this higher crown energy. Feel the expansion of your crown chakra with the merger of the brow or third eye chakra. Vibration combine. Take a deep breath. Your etheric temple is being recreated during this time, re-engineered, because you've ascended more upward in your consciousness, which then has expanded your very essence into what is required for this next level of shifting into this higher trajectory of your new life's design. Take a deep breath, please. Now let's fully activate this. So gathering all the relevant fragments and wisdom and insight from this experience thus far, expanding the awareness and next level comprehensions around these contexts to create this unique template or blueprint for an accelerated ascension from the wisdom that has flowed from the crown chakra at this dimension and the brow, the third eye. Unification. Take a deep breath, please. So we activate this throughout the new energy body, the etheric temple, all chakras coming more aligned and alive, grander horizons opening up, the different portals of new colors and new dimensions, and activating the authority codes. Bring you into that higher level of wisdom and insight. And this is about the manifestations, bringing together those gates of new promise and new peace now combined. Take a deep breath, please. And feel yourself called up even more, ascending in a more accelerated way, embodying the very truth of who you are as Source's highest form of creation to display divine intelligence and mastery. Take a deep breath. We activate this at the highest level of frequencies, embodied with love and truth. And Source supply for every need. We give thanks. Take a deep breath, please. Just be present. Be present with the wisdom and the insight, the activation, your new essence and embodiment, ready to experience in tangible ways this new promise and new peace for the present journey and the one that is ahead. Take a deep breath, please. And at this time, thank your crown chakra at this dimension. Thank Source for this process. And also show some love for your third eye, your brown chakra. Take a deep breath and hold for about 7 seconds. We are complete. Thank you.